And we're in game number 2 of the WCG 2013 World Finals. Spawning in the bottom right-hand position as the red Protoss. His name is Sora from CJ and he's currently up 1-0. His opponent, SoulKey, spawning in the top left-hand position as the blue Zerg. And he is representing Kunshan Stars. Two phenomenally excellent players, both hailing from Korea. And of course, it's StarCraft. It's basically a tradition at this point. The Koreans, they always dominate when it comes to StarCraft, whether it be Brood War or Heart of the Swarm or Wings of Liberty. It doesn't matter what StarCraft you're playing. The Koreans are number 1. So if we kind of look over the overall pacing of the previous game, both Sora and SoulKey are very comfortable moving straight into a macro game. Don't feel like they want to do any type of aggressive cheeses or unorthodox builds early on. They just stick to their guns and they go with what they like to do. And generally that's play long, drawn out macro games. And you know, if you're the better player, you generally want to try to get to that stage. Both of these players are so good. They both want to get there. It seems like that's where they feel the most comfortable. Sora and SoulKey, both capable of doing cheeses or unorthodox builds, should they desire. But in game number 1, they were testing the waters, seeing exactly what their opponent's made of. And we did see Sora be the overall victor. He's doing a very excellent job at blocking this hatchery as well. And once again, delaying SoulKey's hatchery, and oh, very nice. Also providing a block and then canceling the pylon almost immediately. He's going to go ahead and follow this up with a Nexus at his natural as the forge nears completion. Sora has a pair, or I guess 2 pairs of Zerglings on the way. Queen currently birthing at the hatchery. And yes, those Zerglings will scare away that probe, and with the right control, he may actually be able to pick that off. Oh, nice little juke there from Sora's probe. He'll potentially live the mine another day. He did steal 5 minerals from SoulKey's base after all. And notice the probe between the pylon and gateway under construction. That's just to make sure that these Zerglings don't run through Sora's base early enough. And he even builds a pylon just to make sure the Zerglings can't get in. And now that the photon cannon is completed, he'll just go ahead and cancel the pylon. There it goes, gets canceled. 25 minerals is the price if you want to keep the Zerglings out of your base, I suppose. And SoulKey building a 3rd hatchery, moving along as as normal. Very, very standard openings on 3 bases. I anticipate pretty much all of the games between these 2 players will be very macro-orientated games. They've both proven they enjoy the safer styles of play, moving into the late game, and really just, letting their overall late game mechanics and game sense carry them to victory. The map is Belshir Vestige. Been in the map pool for a long time. I want to say almost a year at this point, potentially even a year. The map has most likely existed for about a year by this point, and it's produced an amazing amount of great games. Stargate on the way for Sora. So his opening continuing to be very similar to game number 1. Most likely we'll see some Phoenixes from this Stargate. Would be cool to see an Oracle, but SoulKey most likely knows how to deal with those kind of weird shenanigans. A Zealot scaring away the Zerglings at Sora's natural. And he has decided to grab his gas at the main. No geysers at the natural or 3rd. So everything points towards standard, standard, standard. Alright, first Phoenix on the way. You also have a Roach Warren being built by SoulKey. Safety Warren generally around this time. It's very standard for the Zerg players to get that Roach Warren. And he's also going for the Zergling speed. We'll have that just in case he needs to build a lot of Zerglings early on. And good to get the upgrade in general. And as the first Phoenix completes for Sora, he's going to look around the map and hunt for some Overlords to pick off. SoulKey's got a good amount of Overlords around the map, and we're going to have to see exactly how many Sora will manage to pick off. Robotics on the way, +1. Everything's looking very, very similar to last game as far as Sora's opening goes. And based on this logic, he is going to be taking an expansion around the 8-minute mark. He's sending a probe towards the third base, and bop, there we go. Third Nexus happens just around 8 minutes. So his style seems to be very, very similar. But if we look from SoulKey's end, he has been building a lot of roaches. He actually had 10 in production, which recently hatched. And we're going to most likely see a lot more aggression from him as he wants to punish this early third base that Sora's making. And, you know, with additional Zerglings on the way, the Zergling speed about to complete, this is going to be interesting timing attack. Sora, I'm not actually sure if he has enough units to defend this. Well, the first Void Ray is on the way. Nothing to really defend against this. These Zerglings, as they're going to go to town on the cannon end. I feel like Sora actually got a little bit, too cocky and didn't anticipate SoulKey being as aggressive this game. The Phoenixes are forced to lift up the roaches, and the Zerglings going to town and forcing a cancel on the Nexus. Nexus cannon at the natural is activated. The Forge with the +1 looks like it may actually end up falling, and the Zerglings are going to flood through the natural very soon as well. This is an absolute nightmare for Sora as the Zerglings move into the main base, and this is going to be extremely hard to come back from. Sora, he's doing his best to micro his probes, but the additional units coming from SoulKey are going to be very hard to deal with. He's even droning up behind this, and pretty much this is going to be almost impossible to come back from. Additional Zerglings moving towards the natural, and Sora forced to make a gateway to rebuild up the natural. 2 sentries fall. This is just an absolute disaster for the CJ Protoss player. He's lost so many units. The Zerglings are really just worth their weight in gold. The Nexus cannon at the natural has been deactivated now, lasting only for 1 minute, and even if Sora defends, he's lost so many units. He's ridiculously far behind. 23 workers killed, 24. Lost the third base, lost a ridiculous amount of units, and this is pretty much the worst case scenario in a Protoss versus Zerg scenario. 70 workers to 32. This is just going to be basically impossible for Sora to come back from. He's moving across the map with a few units, a couple of Void Rays, and a few Phoenix. We'll see if he can make some magic happen, but with 10 Hydralisks on the way, it's not really looking too good for Sora. The Void Rays do spot the Hydralisk den. Also, these Hydralisks going to join their brethren in an attempt to do some damage. Some Phoenixes are doing some good job lifting as well, but one Void Ray falls, the second falls. GG is called. SoulKey coming back, striking back quite quickly and viciously in game number 2.